order. First of all, I would like to welcome you here to our meeting. It's a public hearing for the financial plan for 2022. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of the residents in Boissevain-Morton for their efforts to keep everyone safe through the last 2 years through COVID-19. And on behalf of the council and staff, I want to thank you for helping your neighbors and for doing your personal best to keep us all safe as possible. It has been a very difficult couple of years and it has taken its toll on everyone. So the overview of how this type of meeting will work, I'll give some opening remarks, then I'll have Leo Poulin, our CAO for the Municipality of Boissevain-Morton. He will present the 2022 financial plan. We'll then have questions and comments by registered in favor, questions and comments by registered opposed, questions and comments from the council, and final opportunity for new comments. Then I'll have the closure of the hearing and the adjournment. And to note that we will not be voting on this tonight. We will be having this on the agenda for our next council meeting, which will be on Thursday. So everything that is said tonight and done here tonight will be taken into consideration. So as a council, we've spent considerable time with each financial plan. We try to maintain a balance between services provided and cost for those services. This year we were dealt with storm after storm after storm that pushed our staff and our equipment and the cost of these services to a new height. The staff have gone above and beyond for your safety, and we want to thank them publicly for what they've been doing. Municipal governments have not had an increase in infrastructure funding since 2016. Even as inflation continues to grow. Boissevain-Morton is part of the Western Caucus, it's called, and it's consisting of 20 municipalities in Western Manitoba. We are meeting with Minister Clark tomorrow, and we are sending resolutions to AMM to lobby for much needed funding increases. Boissevain-Morton in 2022 must be prepared for the RCMP retro costs to their new contract. Again, we, as rural municipalities, we have never had an opportunity to sit down at a table and do any kind of negotiating for this contract. That was done through the federal government, but we apparently will be picking up the retro pay and the increases. So once again, we're trying to do what we can to lobby to see if we can have some funding from the federal government for that. We're also looking at drainage management, oversight, and enforcement. Transportation is by far our largest expenditure, as it should be. We as a council have made it a priority to continue to increase allotment to our main infrastructure and transportation. Will give you the details of these expenditures. We're also very excited this year to have completed the recreation review and look forward to our new swimming pool. Construction will begin in the swimming pool in the end of the 2022 season at the pool. We are the only form of government that cannot run a deficit, and we therefore have to make some tough decisions as to what projects we can put on hold and what we need to move forward. But I do want to thank this council and the staff for the hard work to prepare for this financial review tonight. This is our last mandate before elections of the fall, so we've had an opportunity to do 4 financial plans, and I'm very proud of this council. They have we've kept our spending the best we could to try to make sure that we are moving the municipality forward, but we're also not trying to tax people to the extreme. So if anyone has questions or concerns tonight and you think of something later on, feel free to email or call either the office or myself or any other members of council. So with that, I will turn this over to Leo.
Thank you, Judy. First off, if I can have everyone ensure that they have their phones turned off or on silent, that would be greatly appreciated. So this year, we are very excited to first of all share with you some of our highlights. First and most importantly, we are building a new outdoor pool. It's very exciting as our existing pool has served us well for the past 60 years. We're also excited to finally share with you publicly that we are proceeding with a downtown revitalization project, as we have secured federal funding assistance for this project through the CCRF program. Other highlights include investing in our core utility infrastructure, a commitment to rural roads with a record high gravel budget and road building budget, a significant investment in sidewalks, and a $50,000 increase to our RCMP costs due to the retro pay dating back to 2017. Altogether, this financial year, 2022, the municipality has a proposed municipal tax increase of 2.98%, very reasonable when you factor in that the RCMP retro being half of our increase. Some other important items that the municipality is undertaking in 2022 are we are finalizing our new Boissevain-Morton development plan. This project is very important to establish a plan and a vision for the municipality for the next 10 to 20 years. We are doing a new quality of life survey. The last one was done in 2019. We have also begun developing an asset management plan, which aligns well with our focus on financial planning and it being tied to our assets. In developing an asset management plan, this will assist with the municipality in determining the life cycle cost of each of our assets, renewal forecasting, and strategies to maximize the value and longevity of our assets and services. Next, we are excited about the energy and enthusiasm from the newly formed Parks and Recreation Board. We also held a recreation open house earlier this year to update our ratepayers about the happenings with recreation and for feedback on the changes, in particular the proposed pool and arena. We are developing a new rural stockpile location south of town, just off of Highway 10, as well as we are undergoing further review of our rural wells for our agricultural sector. And with this, we will be exploring the idea of adding to assist our rural ratepayers with providing raw water. And it is also the Year of the Garden, a great way to recognize and appreciate a long-standing tradition in our community. So overall, our total municipal budget for 2022 is roughly $5.298 million. Our budget has gone up roughly $125,000 over last year. I think it is also very important to note that we have dealt with $3 million in debt over a 5-year span. This is great news as we continue to grow our thriving community. So a budget consists of revenue and expenditures, and the first part I'm going to go through is our revenue. So it is broken down as follows. Municipal taxes is 50.71% at $4 million. School taxes, which is an in and an out, is 33.27% at $2.6 million. And other revenue at 16.02% at $1.27 million. The breakdown for the total school taxes of $2.64 million is $2.28 to Turtle Mountain School Division, $85,000 to the Southwest Horizon School Division, and $277,000 to the province for the Education Support Levy. It is important to note that a third of your tax bill is school taxes, and we have no control over that. But in saying that, we are happy to see the province take steps to remove this financial obligation from municipalities. And how is the province doing that? Through the education property tax rebate in the form of a check. This was introduced last year and is changing again in 2022. This year, the province has increased the rebate of residential and farm properties from 25% to 37.5%, but is also reducing the education property tax credit advance from $525 to $437.50. Although the system is a bit confusing at first glance, overall residential and farm properties will receive a 37.5% rebate, and all other properties will remain the same and receive a 10% rebate similar to last year. And this is on the total education property taxes. Even though most properties will pay the municipality more due to a reduction of the education property tax credit advance, when you factor in the rebate check, your total amount due will decrease, which is welcoming news for higher assessed properties. When we look at our other revenue trends, our total amount is up a few $100s over last year at $1.273 million. It is important to note that in as recent as 2017 and earlier, the average annual other revenue received by the municipality was just under $700,000. Since this time, we have made strong and countless efforts to improve our sources of revenue to invest in our great community, and we have had lots of success in most recent years. And by doing so, our other revenue has grown by over $500,000. This year, the municipality is receiving $202,000 from the Department of Municipal Relations for our municipal operating, and this has been frozen since the 2016 levels. We are receiving an urban policing grant of $186,000, federal gas tax at $132,000, handy van grant at $27,500, career start $7,500, Dutch Elm $3,000, and then new this year is a $233,000 utility deficit recovery payback from the Boissevain utility. Also new this year, we have a few new grants that we are delighted to share with you, and they are the $86,455 from the Canadian Community Revitalization Fund, and this is for the Boissevain Downtown Rejuvenation Project that was announced yesterday. And next we received $32,500 grant through FCM, which is the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and that's for asset management development. Again, updating our asset management is vital for the long-term capital planning for our present and also for the future of the municipality. And also, did you know that over the past 5 years, the municipality has received over $1 million in new grants? For a full listing of our other revenue items, please refer to page 2 on the financial plan. The other half of our municipal budget are our expenditures. Of our total $5.295 million budget, 73.9% is towards municipal services, which is $4 million. General reserves is at 10.32% at $568,000. Capital $498,000 at 9%. Our debenture debt charges is 4.97% and is $273,000. Gas tax reserve is at $132,000 this year and 2.41%. And finally, our allowance for tax assets, which is at $3,000 and is 0.06% of our budget. Here you see our expenditures by service area. Our transportation services budget continued to see record high levels of our overall budget, coming in at nearly $1.7 million. Next is our fiscal services at $772,000. Reserves is next at $700,000. General government services next at $661,000. Recreation and cultural services is next at $498,000. Next after that is our protective services at $477,000. Economic development services at $215,000. Environmental health services is next at $192,000. Environmental development services at $62,000. And finally, public health and welfare services is at $27,000. Going into our service areas a bit further, starting with their general government services. These services equate to 12% of our budget, and it includes our legislative, admin and staff and office costs, our legal expenditures, audit fees, grants, liability insurance, assessment, and taxation. Some of the important items in 2022 are consulting services, staff realignment, in-person conventions, and finally, it's an election year, and it'll take place on Wednesday, October 26th. Protective services is roughly 9% of our budget. This area includes policing services, fire protection services, EMO services, building inspection, and animal control. One of our largest impacts of our 2022 budget is the RCMP retro pay. This retro pay dates back to 2017, and our municipality's impact is a total of $86,000, which we are paying an additional $50,000 this year, and we paid $36,000 extra last year in 2021. This hit has an overall impact of 1.2% of our overall budget, which again this year is at 2.98% municipal increase, which is a significant portion. Transportation, our largest budget at 32%, is up $150,000 from last year. This service includes equipment, repairs and maintenance, fuel, road construction, gravel, street repairs, road patching, street lighting, to name a few. Some of the highlights in 2022 is that we continue to provide record high gravel and building roads as a priority. The municipality is also committing $100,000 towards sidewalk improvements, which is much larger than in past years. We're also developing a new rural stockpile location south of town, just off of Highway 10, to expand our gravel source and distribution locations. And as currently we only have one north of town off Highway 10 and one at the RM shop. Finally, we'll be installing the second rural civic addressing sign. Again, huge thank you to Bernie and Marlene Reimer, who have volunteered once again this year to do this work. So thank you, Bernie and Marlene. One very important priority for the municipality is our rural roads. For rural roads, the budget in 2016 was $350,000. In 2011, $289,000. In 2016, $467,000, and now in 2022 is at a record high level at just over $616,000. Historically, we rebuilt 1 mile of road per year versus now we're doing 5 times more rural roads being built and repaired. Additionally, in regard to maintenance and construction, we are fully aware that it is an inconvenience, but please be patient as we are doing our best that we can, as we are sensitive of providing best value for dollar. Stay tuned for an educational video of our rural roads, and we will be releasing this video in the coming weeks, and it will provide an overview of the process and steps required to build a road and our success to date. The next service area is our environmental health services, and it is 4% of our budget. It's at $192,000, up about $6,000 from last year. This area includes our garbage collection, nuisance grounds, our municipal wells, and recycling services. As everyone is well aware, last year we had some of the hottest and driest weather in decades. As this took place, the municipality completed a review of our water sources that supply town and also our rural wells. This year, additional planning for future municipal wells will be taking place in hopes to assist our very important agricultural operations during times of need. Next is our public health and welfare services, and it's 0.5% of our budget. It's up $10,000 from last year. In 2022, 2 cement ribbons will be added, and future planning will also be taking place in regards to expanding the cemetery to the south as we are nearing capacity at the current location. Environmental Development Services is 1.2% of our budget. It's up about 5,000 from last year. This area also includes our trailer court, general land assembly, Dutch elm and tree maintenance program. This year is the year of the garden, and so our tree management and pruning program has been increased slightly. Economic Development Services is 4.1% of our budget, and it is down roughly 45,000 from last year. Economic Development Services includes our building incentive program, marketing and branding, beautification, town sign and billboard, veterinary services, rural weed control, water sources, and conservation. This year we are finalizing the municipality's development plan. The existing plan is an integral document for the municipality in setting the direction for the next 10 to 20 years. There will be one more open house for feedback, and then there will be the bylaw and public hearing. We also have a new position to fill a very important void, and that is a community programmer. The community programmer is providing recreation programming and is also tasked to lead community events. We also have an amazing limited time offer of 75% off our residential lots. For more information, please contact the municipal office. Recreation and cultural services is 9.4% of our budget, and this area is up roughly 24,000 from last year. The reason for the spike in 2020 was that we had undergone the recreation redevelopment plan. And with this initiative, it has positioned us to a much closer to shovel ready as per provincial and federal funding requirements for grants. Recreation and cultural services also includes the newly appointed Parks and Recreation Board, Civic Center, parks and playgrounds, the arena, the pool, our library, the Legion Hall, our museums, and cultural arts. This year we're also finalizing the road and site improvements at the campground. Fiscal services includes our capital expenditures and debenture debt charges. It is 14.6% of our budget and is down 300,000 from 2021. In 2022, the municipality is undergoing an asset management planning exercise with the hopes to begin to implement the plan in the very near future. It did take the city of Selkirk 3 years to implement, so it will be a slow but very important process for our municipality. Our proposed capital items for 2022 include a new outdoor pool, revamping Boissevain's downtown, a loader renewal, a commitment to developing asset management plan, reconditioning the sweeper, upgrading our rural scraper, completion of the second phase of the campground road that we started last year, and some seasonal upgrades, which is the second year of a 4-year plan. For our utility, we are starting a new program, which is a water main valve insertion project. So please do anticipate some road interruptions this summer. And we are also doing a northeast urban drainage renewal project. This year, we're excited about the prosperity of building a new pool scheduled to begin construction in August 2022. Earlier this year, we held a recreation open house for feedback and to update the status of some important changes that we have made to recreation. Since then, we have closed our request for proposals and are happy to share with you that we have awarded the project to Western Recreation, a company that is based out of Winnipeg. We have also just put out a call out for local trades, as it is important to us to use as much local contractors as possible for this project. We are now beginning the planning and design stage, and the plan is to have construction completed by July of 2023. And we are aiming for an opening of Monday, July 17th, 2023. Our reserves account for 9% of our budget and include our general reserve and the gas tax reserve. The gas tax reserve allocation amount, which is funding commitment from the feds, is again at 132,000 in 2022, and for our general reserve, we have allocated 567,000. Our 2022 reserve projects include the Northeast Drainage Renewal, the Water Main Valve Insertion Program, and financing our new outdoor swimming pool. On this slide, you see our reserve bank balances as of December 31st in each of the past 3 years. In 2019, we had a total of 466,000, an increase to 639,000 in 2020. And in 2021, we topped up our general reserve by over 400,000, and our total reserves balance in the bank was at 1.2 million. It is very important to note that in 2019, the municipality began the processes of funding our reserves. And as recently as 2017, we had a total of 10,000 in the bank in our reserve accounts. A huge commitment to fixing our financial position. This, along with anticipation of significant capital investment in the coming years. Good news, this is the last payment of our greater debenture of 75,000 this year. Next to come off the books is our urban landfill and rural landfill debentures in 2031, and they have annual payments of 37,000 and 22,000. Next maturity is the residential development phase 2, maturing in 2032. Annual payment is 58,000. And then maturing in 2036, we have the recycling center debenture, annual payment of 36,000. And then the residential development with an annual payment of 43,000. And it is also maturing in 2036. Overall, our current debenture total payment is $273,000. When we look at our debenture debt at year-end 2020, we had 2.15 million in debenture debt. 2021, that reduced by 188,000. And now with our 2022 payments, we are further reducing another 195,000 and bringing our total to 1.7 million. For our special services, we are in year 4 of 5 of our Urban Protection Special Service Bylaw. And this year there is a slight increase to 422,000 cost per parcel, which is $207 per levy. The remainder is of 244,000 is based on assessment. We also have the Urban Waste and Special Service, which is at 66,000 by levy, and the remainder by assessment. And then we have our watersheds. This year we are paying levies in the amount of 15,000 to the Souris River Watershed District and 8,200 to the Pembina Valley Watershed District. Before we get going into our tax impact for the year 2022, I wanted to provide an update on our utility budget and the overall financial health of our utility. In 2022, our total utility budget is 849,000, down roughly 50,000 from last year. The consumption breakdown of our revenue is 548,000 from residential use, 107,000 from industrial use, and 25,000 via the commercial and bulk water sales. The reason our budget is down from last year is because last year we had 2 rate riders, and the second one had ended in 2021. Now we only have the one rate rider recovering operating deficits from 2014, 15, 16, and 17, and this rate rider will end in 2024. For our utility expenditures, the total water supply costs are projected at $418,000 this year, sewer collection cost at $87,000, and a total of $849,000 total expenditures for 2022. It is important for our community to recognize that we had been in a very poor financial utility position as recently as 3 years ago. With the rates increases that took place in 2019, 20, and 21, and also through successfully receiving grants from outside sources to upgrade our core utility infrastructure, the utility position is improving. This year we are recovering $233,000 and are targeting at 2025 as our date of being out of a net debt financial position. Some other important utility items to note are, this year we are doing some more sewer relining work. This project proved very successful last year, in which we plan to do another 2 blocks this year. We are also installing the last of our new water meters, and we will also be beginning a multi-year water main valve insertion project to improve our position in the event that we can shut off sections of users versus shutting down the entire system. And finally, we also have a pending PUV application for a 1% utility increase to water, 1% increase to wastewater, and 1% increase to our service charge. This pending increase will be under $1 increase of the quarterly minimum if approved. Dating back to 2017, the municipality has made significant efforts to improve our utility, financial, and capital position. If you take a look at this statement, which is our consolidated statement of financial position from our 2020 audited financial statements, first you see our financial assets, in particular our cash position, which is up at $2.2 million, a significant increase over the past few years. Then in highlight, you see our bank indebtedness. This amount is the utility line of credit balance that was at over $750,000 as recent as in 2017. We had made a lot of tough decisions to come up with a financial plan to correct this debt, and now we have moved on to the next piece, which I will discuss more on the next slide. Important to note, though, that as of year-end 2015, our consolidated financial position was at just over $2.5 million net debt. And as of year-end 2020, we're finally out of a net debt position and now in a net financial assets position of just under $500,000. The progress in that time of period equates to a $3 million improvement, along with many other very important procedure and services improvements. The last section that's highlighted is our accumulated surplus, and currently we sit at just over $13.4 million. On this slide, we have Schedule 8 of our audited financial statements, which is the schedule of our financial position for our utility. As previously mentioned, our bank indebtedness was paid off in full in 2021, which is great news. And now our focus fiscally is to pay back the $1.1 million that has accumulated over the years and is due to our general operating. This year we anticipate $233,000 to be paid back from the utility surplus, and that is why it's included as other revenue and then transferred to our general reserves. The second highlighted line is our net debt position. You can see roughly a $400,000 improvement from 2019, and I anticipate a similar improvement again in 2021. We will not see such large gains in future years, hence why we anticipate year 2025 as the year to get back out of the utility net debt position. And the final line is our fund surplus, and currently our utility is at just under 1.5 million. This year is an assessment year, and the increase for 2022 is as follows. Boissevain is at 0.21%, Morton is at a 0.18%, and an overall increase of 0.19%. If you're uncertain of the assessed value is correct on your property, we encourage you to contact the assessment office and they will assist you with your property. And finally, I will conclude the presentation by going through 4 examples of the tax impact in 2022. First is the urban residential property assessed at $200,000. Last year, the municipal portion of taxes for this property was $25,549. In 2022, the municipal portion will increase marginally to $25,8736, an increase of about $70. The line in green factors in the assessment impact and would have an increase by about $5 if your assessment did not change. If you look at the second example beneath it, here we have a rural residential property assessed at $300,000. Last year, municipal taxes for this property was $19,1646. In 2022, the municipal portion will increase to $1973.57, a total increase of about $57. Factor in the assessment increase again, and it goes up about another $3 to $4. If you look at the urban commercial property that's assessed at $100,000, in 2021 the municipal tax portion was at $1891.47, and in 2022 the municipal portion will increase marginally to $1944.76, an increase of $53.29. Again, factoring in that assessment average increase, and it goes up about another $4. And then in the final example we have is a farm property assessed at $400,000. Here in 2021, the municipal portion of taxes for this property was $1,476. And now in 2022, the municipal portion will increase to $1,520, a total increase of about $44. Overall, a 2.9% increase, very minimal considering the high cost of inflation in the most recent months. Now we need to just discuss the school taxes, as the changes are fairly significant, and once again we will be collecting the school taxes. So going back to the urban property assessed at $200,000, last year school taxes total amount was $1,021. And you can see next to it they received the $525 education property tax credit advance. When you factor in the total tax, the municipal taxes, the total tax bill last year was $3,012. Now with that rebate check last year at 25%, you would have received a rebate of $255, so your net total was $2,756. Now when you look at the school taxes in 2022, a slight decrease to $1,015 if no assessment change. But the education property tax credit advance is now reduced from $525 to $438. So your total tax bill will increase by $143. Again, the province has increased the rebate this year from 25% to 37.5%. So this property owner will receive a rebate check in the amount of $380.59. And when you do a net total for this year, the total amount is $2,784.51. When you look at the example beneath it, we have a rural residential property, again assessed at $300,000. In 2021, they paid $1,532 in school taxes. They would have received the $525 credit, so their total tax bill, including the municipal taxes, is $2,924. rebate check of 25% from the province was $383.17, and so the net total was $25.40. In 2022, this property owner will be paying slightly less in school taxes at $15.23. The EP, the education property tax credit, is reduced to $438, and so your total tax bill with the municipal taxes would have been $2,924. This year, with the 37%, 0.5% rebate check, will be $571. So this property net total will be at $2487.83, a decrease from last year in the roughly about $53. Now let's look at the urban commercial, assessed at $100,000. In 2021, school taxes were $1,310. Total tax bill was $3,200. Factor in the 10% rebate check, this property would have received $131 rebate, and the total net amount was $3,070. This year, school taxes have gone down about $11, and the rebate is unchanged at 10%, and so they'll be receiving $130, and then the net amount is $3,114, so roughly a slight increase of $44. And then in the final example, we have that farm property assessed at $400,000. Last year, this property paid $1,180 in school taxes. So the tax bill, including the municipal taxes, was $26.57. And this is not including the farmland school tax rebate. Rebate check last year was at $295. So their net total was $2,361. This year, the property will see the school taxes going down to $1,173, and when factoring in that 10% rebate check, the amount is, 37.5% rebate check, the rebate amount is $440. So total net in 2022 at $2,253, a reduction of about $108 from last year. Again, I've not factored in the farmland school tax rebate, but similar to residential properties, this initial credit will be reduced, but overall rebate check representing a 37.5% reduction on the total school taxes will be issued. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Leo. I appreciate the amount of work and time that the staff puts into putting out the financial plan in a way that is clear and concise for everyone, and it is much appreciated. A lot of work went into it, I know. So we will move on to questions and comments by registered in favor.
There are none.
And questions and comments by registered opposed.
There are none as well.
Any questions or comments from the council?
I have a couple of comments. When Leo mentioned the increase to the reservoir, we've increased the reservoir capacity by 28%. So it'll be about 10 million gallons of water that we're not letting go into the Pembina River system. And the levy that we pay to Pembina Valley Watershed District, in the last 3 years, we've returned projects of over $100,000 to our community and the rural areas. So I think that even with the Souris River, I think what we're paying in levies to those watershed districts is benefiting our community greatly.
I agree with that.
Thanks, Rob. I agree that those things are things that we deal with, but not necessarily would be known to the public. Mm-hmm. Anything else from anybody, anyone on council? Okay, I'm going to open up to a final opportunity for new comments. If anybody has any comments, you're more than welcome for comments.
I should say that, oh, I'm sorry, Bill. I forgot to say that the reservoir project was totally paid by external money. So no tax dollars at all to do do that job. And it was a little over $8,000.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, for rural road building, for instance, I can understand when you're hiring gravel contractors, there's a set number of dollars that you pay per yard. But when you're using the municipal equipment, how do you value that when you're constructing a road?
Well, that's where the asset management comes in, because when you have, like a grader, you'll know the amount of hours that are used on it, so those hours have to be factored into, what we're doing with the roads. The men's wages are also a part of that, so the same as when we hired a contractor, we would know that we were gonna pay this much in contracting, right? It's a little trickier when you have your own equipment, because you would say that we would have those men out on the road anyway. But there are dedicated times that they do road construction, and there's 2 of them dedicated to that and 1 dedicated to the other, to general maintenance. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's how Leo and that how we figured it out, that we also had to do a complete breakdown so that we knew that it was more efficient. And we knew that we were actually saving a lot of money and doing more with less. So we had asked Leo, the council had asked Leo and the staff to mark all of that down, because the wear and tear on the graders have to be taken into account when you're doing that.
Yeah, so, what is your total operating cost per hour for a grader?
Leo, do you?
I'll have to calculate that and provide that to you at a later point.
Okay. What, I was curious, there was reference to a rural scraper. What rural scraper?
That's
You
it's
have.
part of the process for when they're constructing roads.
They own a scraper?
We currently have one, yes.
What is it?
It's a small little box scraper, or a smaller scraper.
It's more of a box scraper, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, just,
Clam.
all right, you don't have a motorized.
No,
No.
20-yard scraper.
No,
Oh, no. This is a small
A little
one.
garden tool.
Yeah.
No, that's,
Okay.
and
yeah,
they're looking
that's.
at one that's a little bit bigger. Yeah.
One more question, if I may.
Sure.
I don't understand the gas tax. There was a gas tax revenue and a gas tax expense.
Right.
Now, the gas tax expense, what would that be for?
That's what we budget to expend that money that comes in as a revenue for gas tax. And gas tax has to be spent specifically on specific things. It can't be just put into the general expenses, your general coffers. So we therefore have to show it coming in, and then we have to show what we're spending that money on. So you'll have an income and an expense with the gas tax. Does that
So
make
the gas
sense?
tax, yeah, no, to add to that, the gas tax program actually just changed to, it's called now the Canada Building Program. And there's certain criteria that you have to meet in regards to the projects that are available to use those dollars for. And so this year, that's where we have some, it comes in through our general operating, we transfer it to our gas tax reserve, and then from there, we also have our gas tax projects, and so that's where we would pull down from our gas tax account.
Okay.
It's a federal granting system, and we have to account for what we're spending specifically that money on.
What is it based on? The population?
Population,
Population.
yeah.
Population?
Yeah.
So the fewer people we get in a rural area, the less gas tax we
It's,
will receive.
Correct.
yeah, it's our incomplete population, it's not just the rural, it's like for urban and rural.
Down
but-
substantially, wasn't it?
Pardon me?
Down substantially
Our,
from the year before?
what, the gas
revenue?
tax revenue?
Well, the last year,
We
the
had double.
feds did a one-time top-up
They doubled, yeah.
It was-
for
It was a lot.
Yeah,
throughout the entire
Yeah.
country. They did a one-time top-up.
And this year, they didn't do that, so we're back to
Yeah.
where we were. It was nice for 1 year.
Leo, can you just give examples of what that gas tax might be spent on? Not that specific right now, but
Yeah,
just
like,
the
so,
possibilities.
road building is one, paving roads, we're doing that, drainage renewal project, so there's different streams, they have roads, bridges, transportation, there's different streams, and then, we have to work closely with the federal rep in regards to ensuring that we meet the criteria that satisfies the federal government. And then from there, we are allowed to proceed with the project and then also releasing the funds at that point in time too. So yeah, they do tend to watch very closely that program in particular, yeah.
You referred to road building. Does it include road rebuilding?
Sort of.
We had done in the past, I'll have to look into that again in regards to, we haven't
Because
appointed
you're
road
not building
building.
that many new roads.
No, we aren't.
No,
It's pretty much all rebuilding, isn't it?
correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Anything else?
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
This is very impressive. I like how it's been laid out. It's really easy to read. I really appreciate that. So 3 million paid in debt the last 4 years, 5 years, which is awesome. Like, it's great. We now have a reserve, which we never had very much of before, which is wonderful. So this year we have less debt, correct? So I just don't see the balance of why we need to increase. If we're getting less debt, why are we increasing more income? And like, just to throw it out there, like the general government services in 2 years has gone up 16%, and that's big in a short amount of time. So just why can't we work within what we have? If we've been paying all this debt and we're doing good, I just don't understand the increase.
No, and that's a really good question. And we talked about that.
Yep.
We also are building a swimming pool and we're not doing a debenture. And if we had not put the money aside, we would have been doing a debenture. When you look at what it costs to service debt, you have to say, is that where we want to be? And overall, this council has decided that debt needed to go, and we have worked diligently to do that. So we could have reduced your taxes, but we would have had to do a debenture. And your debenture would then again increase the taxes over a longer period of time, over 25 to 30 years. This way, that pool is paid for. So next year, when the new council or when this council looks at it, we will not have that debt over our heads. We will be able to say, what can we do? Do we want to look at reducing the taxes, or do we want to rebuild some reserves? It's like you're in your own home. We do asset management. We know what will be going and what won't be going. We all know that there are things in this community that need to be replaced. Certainly our water and sewers, we have a new rink that at some point, whether we refurbish the one we have or whether we do a new one, whatever, we still would have to have some funds set aside for that. It is not fair to do it all on debentures, because if you look at what we've done on debentures over the last while, it's pretty significant. You also have a lagoon coming up that needs to be done. So we are trying to be very mindful to keep the taxes low. But it was a decision that we made, and we did talk about that. But rather than go to the debenture, we decided this time that we would stay the course.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you're saying that the pool, we have the money for the pool, so no matter what, this year we wouldn't have to go into a debenture.
The pool is over a 2-year for 2 years. It's not over 1 year. We do not have all of the money this year. We have to have some of it from next year. So it'll be a 2-year project,
Okay.
as well as grants. And it depends if we get 1 grant or 2 grants, as to how much. If we get 2 grants, we will be lovely. We will not have to worry about the pool and next year. But if we don't, we have to make sure we're able to pay for it within what we've already have.
So in that forecast for 2022, the reserve,
Mhm. And I'm sorry, I forgot your other question. It was to do with government services, was it?
well, no, it's just something that stuck out at me, of how much in just 2 years, that's jumped up, like 16%. You know,
Yeah.
It's an election year, so there's election costs, and then also our convention costs. We haven't had convention in person, and so those were factored in on the budget this year.
It's not a
convention as
huge
in-
budget, so if you look at it, if you add $5,000 to it, it's quite a big percentage of it. If you have, like, transportation is a huge budget, so percentage-wise, it wouldn't go up the way.
Oh, but this is a big budget, like 680,000, that to me is big.
So
So
which one?
16% on the general services? So if, in 2 years, it's over $110,000, it's not.
Okay,
And it just strikes me that that's a lot.
right.
That sticks out as a lot.
One of the other things we had added to last year and this year too is consulting services.
Right.
Due to the magnitude of capital projects that we are undertaking, not only the pool, not only Cherry Creek Place, the lagoon, arena, and other reasons, we have contracted out consulting services, and they've been highly beneficial in assisting us in trying our best to get maximum dollar in regards to these capital projects as well.
Like, we would never have had in the previous years a lot of consulting. Consulting is something that municipalities are doing more and more of, because we don't have the expertise that we need to make the decisions without a consultant. And often, they are well worth the money that we put into consulting.
Yeah, I'm definitely aware of consultants
Yeah,
in
you
my career as well,
would know
so
how-
like that's reasonable, but what about staff? Like, how much staff have we increased in the last few years then?
Actually, none.
No.
No, we've moved people around. We do not have any different, we have no new staff. Except we have a contract for 6 months with a programming instructor, programmer.
Okay.
That's the only new staff that has been added.
So I just feel that I still don't feel comfortable with that big jump, like the
Yeah,
16%.
no, that's fair.
Just a personal opinion on that.
If you would like a breakdown of that, I'm sure we
Yeah.
can get you a breakdown of that.
I think I'm more trying to just make the point of, you know, I keep hearing minimal increase in taxes. Like, there's some big increases in, when you break things down.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm, you know, the
No, that's
balance,
very
right? Like,
fair.
it's, the pool is lovely, like, I'm excited about it. It's exciting that there's the money aside for it, like, that's great. So the reserve for this year, how do you estimate what's gonna go in the reserve this year?
Well, we budget for it,
So this is just how much we wanna put away.
right.
So is that just for a rainy day, or is that for the pool, or is that for all?
It could be
sorts?
different things. We have reserves for many different things. So, you know, mostly it's for specifics,
Okay.
but it can be just for a general reserve. We have general reserve as well.
So
And
like, we're increasing to put money in reserve, we're increasing our taxes to put more money aside?
But you have to understand that, like this spring, for instance, we had the snow removal that was, how would you budget for that?
Oh, for sure, and then the
So,
year before, we had no snow.
By fall,
Yeah.
we could have another snow removal. So if we don't have money in reserves, we therefore would have to take it from where?
Oh, I
You-
agree, I
you
agree
really
with the
have to
reserves.
budget
I'm just
for the
curious
rainy
how
days.
that amount comes about.
That's how it comes about. It comes about sometimes by a percentage, sometimes for specifics, depending on the year.
Can also include capital assets that are gonna need to be replaced. If you're building roads with graders, they only have a finite life, so unless you wanna have a big spike in 1 year on your property taxes to buy that $400,000 grader, you have to put away a little bit each year so that when that expenditure comes up, you don't get the spikes.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of reserves, is you're putting a little bit away for the bigger expenses.
Right, and I
So-
understand
so-
what the reserve is for. I just was wondering how you come about with how much you decide to put away every year.
And a lot of that does come with the new asset planning that we're doing too, right? So that we know that a grader has X number of hours of use, and that if we're using so many hours a year, then we're going to be looking at a grader 2 years from now, and we're gonna be looking at a loader, and we're going to be looking at trucks, and we're going to be looking at replacing in the utilities, right? The pumps, so you have finite hours, lots and lots of things like that, so.
Right, and paying debt, like I know, like that, it all makes sense and like done a great job, like I'm not trying to.
No, I appreciate your questions, and, you know, it's great to see, it's good to see people here, it's good to see people interested in it, and we, you know, I'm really pleased to see someone like yourself that is interested in how this works. And it's not easy, it's not perfect, we do the best we can. We just hope that we don't have a fall like we had a spring. We look at other municipalities that are flooded right now. You know, we could be in a really bad situation, but we're not. I think that overall, yes, there is an increase. We do the best we can to make sure that we're not going to increase it to an extreme. And maybe a piece of it might be, maybe more than what you think it should be. Reserves are tricky. It's like putting money aside in your own home for a rainy day. You may know that your roof is going to be needing replaced, so you know that, but then what if the washing machine breaks or something else happens, right? Then you still have to have money set aside for that. So that's what we do with reserves, and you know, Doug
And
is
who
right.
knows what gas prices are gonna be 6 months from now?
We don't know, like, and we have a lot of gas that we put through here, and we don't have electric graders, and so, you know, that's how this works.
Yet.
God help us.
God help us.
Doesn't happen.
I hope that answered. I know it may not be exactly what you want to hear, but it is how we do it. We sit down, we look at what do we project that we may need, and that's how we did it.
I think I'm looking at it from the point of view of what I'm gonna be hearing on the streets, so to speak. So there's gonna be an outrage instantly that our taxes are going up. And it's minimal, but all people are gonna hear are their taxes are going up. And so they're gonna look at, well, what, you know, they're not brave enough, I guess, to show up today to ask the questions and see everything.
No, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, so there's gonna be all these new things that we see going on in town, which is great, but then it's like, why aren't we living within our means is the first thing, right? What we have. So it's like, well, we're doing all these wonderful things, but we need more money.
Well, there's been a historically, in some of these municipalities, not only this one, but others around, that we're gonna keep the taxes low, low, low. We're gonna do that, we're gonna do that. And then all of a sudden, you are in a position where you have a debt, and you also have a whole lot of things go wrong in 1 year, or over a period of 3 years. That's how you end up with debenture after debenture after debenture, because it's a lack of planning, and it's trying to keep the taxes so low that there's a fine line between keeping them low. Inflation itself, I mean, we don't know what the gas is gonna do. We don't know what is going to happen in the future. So as a municipality, it's on these people to try to make that decision and say, we're gonna try to see, you know, we don't have another place to go to get funding, right?
So I think for me, you know, I want this town to keep growing and bring more families here. I don't see, I mean, other than the pool and like the big projects, definitely, but the taxes of what you pay a month is what is keeping a lot of young families moving here. And our population has decreased in the last 5 years, and it's just a little nervous, right?
Actually, the population, if you took it now, is up to what it was when they did, because Cherry Creek Place itself brought in 35 suites. So there is now 26 or 25 of them. People are in their houses. There's no vacant houses, so to speak. So there is an increase. I am not concerned about it at all. I also know that if you want to have a community for young people to move to, you're going to have the amenities in this community to move
Which
here.
we do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, we cannot go without a pool in this community. It would not be fair to the young people. We absolutely feel that we need to invest in that. And we have a lot of young people moving to this community. There are people here. I have met several different young couples that are here and that are interested in coming here. We've had people looking at the new lots. I think that we're in the right place. You just need to look at your phone bill, at your grocery bill, at every other bill that you have to know that there's an increase. It's difficult, but it is a decision that this council had to make, and we did.
But
And
if you take away the school and the RCMP,
right,
it's very minimal, really.
It
And a lot
is.
of people forget that. They don't talk about that on the street, how much we've no control over, right?
like we didn't negotiate that deal with the RCMP. That was not, we were not at the table. We had no say in it, but we do need policing. So in order to have policing, we have to pay it. We get the bill. That had to be, that's a big part of the 2.9%. It's over 1%. So you're looking at a basic 1% or 1.5% increase. I think there are not many municipalities that can do that. So it may not be popular, but it was fiscally responsible for this group to do that.
We just looked at our fuel bill for the transportation budget, and we raised it another 30%. And we should be raising it right now another 20%, because it just went up again,
Yeah.
the diesel fuel prices. It's just getting ridiculous, but that's what we're facing, and 2.98% is pretty good budget. When it comes to those kind of things.
It's not extreme.
No, it isn't.
For sure, but I'm trying to sort out other options, and it's not just my personal opinion, it's just,
Yeah.
first thing you hear is our taxes are going
Yeah.
up, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I do appreciate your comments, and if
Yeah,
there are
fair game.
others, anything else, any other numbers that you need to see or would like to see, will be absolutely,
No, you can't tell all my
I think this, if you can hand this out to your friends or have them come and pick one up or talk to people, I believe that there is, that this is a really good budget. Personally, I think that we've worked really hard to try to keep it.
Do you
To a minimal.
put this up available on
Yeah.
social media for people to download?
Yeah,
It is being
It's being
recorded as we
recorded as
speak,
well.
and so it will be on our website and our YouTube channel as well.
Okay.
so we encourage people, if you have anybody that has any questions, for sure, go to our website and have a look at it, watch it, download it, or phone us or talk to us, because that's how, it's this kind of discussion that helps make the budget and helps finalize the budget, right? That's why we didn't do that second and third reading tonight, because we will have another debate, right, before we vote on it on Thursday. So, yeah, I do appreciate you coming, and I do appreciate all of you that are here. It's good to have discussion. We have nothing, we're open to listening to what you say, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, there's, yes? Sorry.
I know proper protocol would say that I should address you as chairperson,
Right.
as Mayor Judy, or Reeve Judy, but to say head of council Judy seems extremely long and inconvenient.
You could call me just Judy if you'd like.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
One more comment. Just because the gravel budget, we'll say was, I know it's more than that, but was 100,000 last year, and this year it's 200,000.
Right.
Most people would think, oh, we're gonna get twice the gravel.
Yeah.
What kind of an inflation figure have you built in to all these budget items roughly?
So that's already predetermined in our contracts for our gravel budget, and there is a fuel percentage as well in there, and so, yeah, certainly it is factored in.
Yeah, we've done the contracting ahead of time so that we don't get surprised.
Okay, but the contract doesn't include a possible fuel surcharge?
One does and one,
Yeah,
yes.
correct. One does and one does not.
Oh, okay.
So we factored that.
Yeah, exactly.
If it had been me, I would have been the one that forgot to actually. Thank you.
Okay, no, we did, we looked at that and, you know, people like George had said, well, and the farm, we're looking at 25%, probably more. And then, you know, later in our discussions, it was brought up again, we need to probably add more to that surcharge because there will be no doubt that going forward, it's gonna be higher, so. You know, and would we like to have the PST come back to us? Absolutely. You know, do we lobby for that? Yes, we do. We would like an increase from the provincial government as well for some infrastructure. We don't seem to get that either. So we're doing the best we can to lobby the correct people to make sure that we put it out there, that there are things that we need to do in order to try to keep our taxes lower if we had some help. But we're working on it. All right.
Another question.
Oh, sorry, Barry.
I'm gonna surprise you.
Okay.
I think you have all done a great job,
Oh, thank you.
and I know that's a surprise.
No, it isn't, Barry. I appreciate that. We all appreciate
I
that.
have a comment too.
Yes.
People will say, oh, my taxes are up again. But did they look how much their food has gone up, how much their gas has gone up, how much everything has gone up? It's just the cost of living. And somewhere you gotta cut something to pay for the other guy.
Right. It's a balancing act. It is at our home, it is here, it is in business, and it certainly is in farming. It's a huge balancing act, and we try to do the best we can to balance it all. We have good people like Leo and that know the ins and outs of the finances, and we're secure in our finances. We, you know, if we're not servicing debt, we can do a whole lot more with the money that we have too. So, I thank you for your comment, Barry. All right, with that, I am going to adjourn the meeting. And once again, I thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna turn my alarm off.
Because it never